Now I want you to look at this right here. It's the same thing you're looking at on the front page. You can go to the front page. If you look right here, this is my project right here. This is adjoining land, my neighbor. This is the property that they're talking about. And on your first sheet, you will see it. I highlighted it in pink for you on the very bottom. They started this project in 1975, 50 years ago. It was a county subdivision. It was a rural county subdivision. And the reason they went out there, because they didn't have to follow city standards. They didn't have curb and gutter. They didn't have sewer. They didn't have asphalt. They didn't have drainage. They had nothing, and they could develop out there cheaper. So 50 years later, here we are. Well, we've grown into it, right? I mean, we've grown 50 years. We're there now. And their last project was in 1989. It took them 14 years to get through this. I don't want none of that. I don't look for 14 years. If you look over here, right here on y'all's little sheet, I have 104 foot that adjoins them. It doesn't adjoin them, it's across the road. 104 foot. You look at this piece of property right here. I marked it for you. 1,500 foot. 1,500 foot. Guess what the city staff recommends for this property right here? They recommend approval. But yet they recommend denial for me. They've got 15 times more adjacent property than I've got. That is blatant frustration. That is wrong, and it's up to the city manager or it's up to the department head, whoever that is, to correct that. And if the department head don't correct it, it's up to that man sitting right there, the city manager, to correct it. And if it ain't up to him to correct it, then he puts it on the 7 of y'all. Y'all have to correct it. This is blatant wrong, and it's very frustrating. So the staff can go to turn me down, but they can go to approve the other property. That's bizarre, and it is frustrating when I meet all y'all's criteria. It's wrong. I know it's wrong. That man there knows it's wrong, and that lady out there knows it's wrong. And somebody's got to stop it. And if they don't stop it, it's up to the 7 council members to stop it. I can stay here all day. That's not what I need. That's not what y'all need. Mr. Segarro had a good point. It's like, what's the difference? We just zoned it R1, so we don't follow the character no more. I did this, and you got a good memory, because I knew it would be a fight. And that takes months and months to fight. So we do it R1. Your city manager just told y'all something that's wrong. It's just wrong. He said it's a transition from big lots to smaller lots. If you will look, Mr. City Manager, these lots are bigger than the R1 y'all approved. You just told the council that these are the transition because of the big lots, and you wanted big lots to transition before the R1. Look at my plat. These lots are bigger, so it has nothing to do with the lots. Nothing. You know that, and I know that. It has to do with a lot of other things. I know what it has to do with. You know what it has to do with, and so does that lady out there. They don't know, but I know. And it's frustrating. And it is your job. If your staff or your department does not follow your rules, it is your job to correct that. And if you're not going to correct it, then it comes to 7 council members to correct it. And it needs correcting because it's blatant wrong. And I'll answer any questions y'all have.
Thank you, Mr. Purser.
Council members, thank you for your time. I'm not going to point fingers or throw accusations around. I'm speaking from experience. I live at 6909 Shannon Circle, which is across Stagecoach from Judge Cook's property, or what was formerly Judge Cook's property. It's not directly adjacent to what Mr. Purser is addressing today, but there are some issues that I have concerns over. Traffic is pretty bad in that area, especially in the mornings and stuff like that. I myself have called the city police multiple times for people speeding in the school zones, especially in the morning and the evening when the buses are running. I stopped one officer and thanked him just for stopping a car that was speeding in the school zone. Even though we have a sidewalk, if a car jumps a curb, the kid gets hit, we got problems. So the traffic, there was an incident a couple of weeks ago at one of the schools over towards Bunny Trail, and the reunification area was Manna Church, which is directly behind my property or to the east of my property. Several years ago, Mr. Lackmeyer wanted to put 100 and something units on that property, and with my neighbors, we were able to say, no, we don't want that. We said we would not object to them building on a half-acre lot, but everything out there is 1 acre, and most of it is single family. The two-family residence is on the other side of Tremere. It's not in the area that we're in. We really don't want R2. We don't want RT1. We don't object to R1 with a half-acre lot or more. We object to anything less than that. We feel it would devalue our property. When that reunification thing took place a week ago, the traffic down Stagecoach and W.S. Young was terrible. I needed to get to the planning and zoning meeting, and the officer said, you need to turn around and go the other way and take the long way to get there. So that's what I did. But there are some concerns. The other concerns are infrastructure. I've lived at that residence for 25 years. The school was put in up above, and when Tremere Road was straightened out many years ago, before I lived here, they put a big 3-foot drain underneath the road. Well, when we get a heavy rain, that water exceeds their catch pond and runs through that drain through a downhill property that's south of mine and comes right down on me. I catch all of it, me and my neighbor. I've had the county engineers out there when it was county. I've had the city engineers out there after we were annexed. They've all looked at it and said they would address it or look and see if they could address it. See nothing change. I get all the water every time we get a heavy rain.
I'm not sure how we're going to have streets, how the people that live over there are going to get in and out, because Turkey Trot, where it gets on to Stagecoach, there was a bend in the road because of the previous owner, and there's a curve there and people come through there, and I'm constantly hearing horns blowing for people that haven't stopped. If you come down Turkey Trot certain times of the day, you can wait a while to make that turn. There's going to be issues with that, and I just think we're going to put a whole lot more traffic on that stretch of road, and I'm not comfortable with that. Made my living on the highway, so I didn't get to see this town growing up as fast. Now that I'm here looking at it all the time, it's biting me right in the park. Just wanted to register my complaint about anything smaller than R1 across the street from me. Anybody have any questions for me?
Not at this time. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Boyd.
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. One thing that we as a council are responsible for doing is balanced growth and keeping up with growth. I just want to first acknowledge the citizens that came out to speak who live in the area and have witnessed the transition and changes. I also want to highlight the absolute fact that, you know, the city is growing and things are changing. It's like growing out of a T-shirt. You just can't wear that T-shirt no more as you get older. You know, things change. The developer or owner of the land anywhere in the city has a right to develop their land. That's their right, whether they own a small piece of land or multiple tracts of acreage. You know, as citizens, you know, we reserve that right. The comp plan, the argument was interesting as I was listening to it and looking at this document. I'll say, for the most part, I see where this document is in alignment. That's my personal perspective on that without getting too deep into it. This section appears to be a pocket of two-family homes. It reminds me of the Lineage Loop development that's located just off of Bunny Trail. I used to live over there off Lineage Loop, higher-end duplexes, and we didn't have a lot of issues over there. Most of us are familiar with the product that Purser builds, and most of the time it's a high-quality product, and I would believe it would be the same over there. And so that's my perspective there. So I'm not going to belabor the point, and as someone who has not received a campaign contribution from Mr. Purser, I'm going to make a motion to approve, surprise, surprise, PH-25-010. Thank you.
We have a motion on the floor to approve this public hearing. Do we have a second?
Second. It's not working.
We have a second by Councilmember Sagara. We're going to take a vote. All in favor, vote yes. Any opposed, vote no. Looks like all have voted in support of public hearing 25-010.